Hi. So the much anticipated announcement for India's squad for the Asia Cup has been done, and the team is more or less as per the expected lines. I am not sure there would be too much of outrage or too much of reaction or response to it, because I think people were expecting the team as per the expected lines. The team has come, and the only difference is that India has the best of bench strength in the T20 format. It is the format in which India has the best of bench strength. So at any moment you can say around 25 people are there who are good enough to represent India, and if you make two teams of 11 players each, also it's possible that you can field them, and either of the two teams can beat the other, and either of the two teams can win a championship also at the international level. So unlike Test and ODI, where I don't agree that India has such depth, but at least in the T20I format, India has such depth. So naturally, when you have to only pick 15 players, some would eventually lose out, not because they have been deliberately left out, or there has been any indicator or any malice or any agenda against them. People or their fans may feel a little aggrieved, but then it would be expected that you can't have more than 15 players in the squad. So if I look at this squad, I think there are only three names around which there will be some buzz or some responses or some outrage or discussion or debate, and those three names are the selection of Subman Gill and the non-selection of Jaiswal and Shreyas Iyer. So Jaiswal and Shreyas Iyer's non-selection would have definitely created a flutter, and there would be a lot of reactions, which is justifiable also, because the kind of form Shreyas Iyer has had and the way he has performed both in the ODI format, in the Champions Trophy, and also in the series wherever he has got a chance to play, in the IPL with his captaincy, and the way he carried the team with his super batting against the seam bowling as well as spin bowling across all kinds of pitches, on all kinds of pitches. So he would definitely feel aggrieved that he has not been picked up without any fault of his, and I think I would also join a lot of people who would be looking at it in a very sympathetic way, that yes, he deserved a place. And same applies to Jaiswal to some extent, because he is India's genuinely all format player now. His ability to hit against any kind of bowling and to really change the complexion of a game with just 20 to 30 balls is well known, and he is ruthless against any kind of bowling attack. He is as good against spinners as against seam bowlers, and on any kind of pitch he can really counter the opponent, just the way he did in the last test at Oval, when on a bowling pitch he scored a fantastic century in the test match. So yes, his non-selection would have also been a little unfair, but then you had only 15 slots to fill, so you had to do it, and I don't think they should have any reason to blame anybody, or their fans should have any reason to blame anybody. On the other hand, Subman Gill's selection is also a little surprising, but what is more surprising is designating him as a vice captain, because by doing that, the selectors have almost forced the team management, and also has made us mentally prepared that he is not going to go as a passenger. As such, he is a test captain, so when you are selecting him, you can't put him as a reserve player for the entire tournament. So that was also another factor which was binding on the management and was putting pressure. Now making him the vice captain means that either the team management has shown interest to take him and play him, or the team management hands have been now tied down by telling them that you must play him, because your vice captain cannot go and be warming the benches. Now this is a little tricky and troublesome according to me. I'll tell you how. Because the fact is that if you select Subman Gill and play him in the playing 11, his slot is fixed. He can only play in the top 3. Now, if you are playing him in the number 3 position, that is not going to be good for India, because you have Tilak Burma, who has been a sensational T20I player and who has scored brilliantly in South Africa under South African conditions, and scored 2 centuries at number 3 position, and he has been most effective when he has been given at number 3 slot. But when he has been pushed down, his ability has been blunted tremendously, and he has lost his ability to contribute, as we saw in the IPL. So if you have included him rightfully and justifiably, then you have to freeze the number 3 slot for him. Otherwise, it will be gross unfair to him, and there is no point then blaming him if he fails to capitalize. So that means his position is locked. So would be then Surya Kumar Yadav, because Surya Kumar Yadav cannot go below number 4. So that means his number is also fixed. He is number 4. Then where you are going to put Shubman Gill? Are you going to play him number 5? No, because by the time he comes into bat, then you are in the second half or towards the slog overs in the end of the innings, and he is not your finisher. He can't be even a floater, or he can't be a finisher who can really score with around 15 to 20 runs per over. So he would need a little time, and he would be banking on his timing and his skill and his technique to score runs, and he would be absolutely an asset during the power play in the beginning. So you cannot straight away push him at a number 5 or beyond. So that means you have actually thought of pushing him into the top 2 slots. That means what you are doing? You are actually giving a nudge to Sanju Samson, because you have already included Jitesh Sharma, rightfully also again, as a backup keeper, and Jitesh Sharma can be your finisher in the late order batting, and he is tremendous as an asset there. So that means what you are saying is that I will try to put Shubman Gill as the opener, so that my remaining batting slots will not be disturbed, and then I will have Jitesh Sharma as the wicket keeper, and who can come towards the later part of the innings, maybe in the last 20-30 balls, and then can score 50 runs or 45-50 runs, then to give me the impetus which I would need in case I would need that kind of after a slow start. So that means you are talking about Abhishek Sharma and Shubman Gill as your openers, Tilak Verma as number 3, Surya Kumar Yadav as 4, Hardik Pandya as 5, Akshar Patel as 6, and Jitesh Sharma as 7. That's more or less you are locking it. But then the other factor comes into play, because the kind of team you have selected and the kind of mentality that Gautam Gambhir has about his team composition, there would be another trouble after the number 7 slot, because you have taken really match winning bowlers which are fabulous. Great to actually see Varun Chakravarti, Kuldeep, Arshdeep Singh, who is India's number 1 seam bowler in terms of taking wickets in T20I, and Jasprit Bumrah, the GOAT of all format cricket as a pace bowler. So you can't actually look at these 4 bowlers and try to see that whether we can look beyond them. So that means those 4 bowlers should really lock themselves in. They should be blocking the remaining 4 slots to make it a playing 11, which is again a great team which is capable of winning any match, any tournament, any trophy. But that's where Gautam Gambhir's mindset comes into picture. Is he ready to finally play an international match with 7 batters and 4 absolute non-batters who are match-winning bowlers? The trend so far, watching him with his composition in test matches or ODIs, has shown he is not going to do that, because he doesn't feel confident to go into a match with just 7 batters, out of which 5 would be specialist batters and 2 are all-rounders. I don't think, and even if he tries to accommodate, then he may not be able to give that confidence, or the top order or the frontline batters may not have the confidence to go hammer and tong the way they have been going with the new culture of going with around 60 runs in the power play kind of an approach, contrary to what India had with Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, where they were going at around 120, 125 to start with. So now that Abhishek Sharma, Sanju Samson are a different kind of batters, they go with 170, 180 kind of strike rate, then that would mean that maybe Gautam Gambhir would not be confident to go into crunch matches with just 7 batters, because it's possible that in pursuit of a really rollicking start, India may be reduced to 50 for 3 in power play, and that would be putting pressure if you just have 7 batters. So if he needs another finisher, another floater, another kind of a real slog hitter, then he would look at Rinku Singh or Shivam Dube mostly, because if you are going to reduce your bowling strength, then he may be looking at Shivam Dube, and Shivam Dube, let's not forget, was part of India's T20 World Cup team, and he has been pretty helpful and useful also in the England series in the T20Is. So his credentials are great, and it is not his fault that he got injured after that series and has not been able to come back on time to play. But based on his last performance, he should walk into a team, and he was part of the India's World Cup winning team, and he had batted pretty well on a difficult pitch also. So now it's possible that Gautam Gambhir would have looked at Shivam Dube. But if you're talking about Shivam Dube, that means you are talking about already two all-rounders who are seam bowlers. In that case, are you going to reduce a spinner? That means you are already having only two spinners, because if you are going to reduce spinner to make a number 8 as an all-rounder, which is a seam bowling all-rounder, along with Hardik Pandya, that is Shivam Dube, then out of the remaining 3, you have to have Bumrah, and if you are going to go with Arshdeep Singh, then you just have barely one spinner slot, that would be Varun Chakrabarti. That means once again Kuldeep would lose out. Now it could have been done, because Gambhir is known to go with that kind of approach, and he has been pretty unfair with Kuldeep in the Test series, as you have seen, where he has not got his slot. Kuldeep has not got his slot. But here he may be little hesitant, because Dube is known to be slow pitch, which aids the spinners to a large extent, to such an extent that India played with 3 spinners for all the Champions Trophy matches, and in the final India played 4 spinners: Jadeja, Akshar Patel, Kuldeep and Varun. So there is a temptation to go with 4 spinners, and what India did in the final in the Champions Trophy, they went with 1.5 seamers, because they didn't go with a specialist seamer. They went with Hardik Pandya to open the bowling on the other end. That means they had actually went with 1 specialist seamer, 1 all-rounder and 4 spinners. Now if we go with that kind of approach, and unless the pitches are completely different this time, which looks unlikely, then India would at least go with 3 spinners, that is Akshar Patel as an all-rounder, then Kuldeep and Varun would be automatic selection. In that case, there is again a question mark whether they will go with Shivam Dube or Rinku Singh and sacrifice Arshdeep Singh, because we don't see Bumrah getting the axe. So that means again they will go with Bumrah and Hardik Pandya and 3 spinners, and maybe Shivam Dube to fill in a little few overs, and also Abhishek Sharma. If the really pitch starts turning a lot or creating problem for the batters, then they will have actually 4 spinners, the way they unleashed in the Champions Trophy final. Otherwise, they will go with a couple of overs from Dube and couple of overs from Abhishek Sharma, and then 3 spinners and Bumrah and Hardik Pandya. Otherwise, they may go out and out with Rinku Singh, knowing that Abhishek Sharma can roll his arms, and then they can have the other bowlers, that is 3 spinners and 1.5 seam bowlers, or let's say Bumrah and Hardik Pandya. So there will be little challenge to maintain the balance towards the number 8 to number 11 batting or the bowling, depending on how you look at it, and Shubman Gill. These are the 2 things which will be really troubling the team management and give some sleepless nights before they finalize and freeze that. Otherwise, as a squad of 15, it is a pretty balanced squad, and yes, it would have been nice to have Shreyas Iyer, who deserved, and also Jaiswal to some extent, and Shubman Gill might have been given a break and could have been considered for only Test and ODI format right now. And maybe there are so many T20s coming in the build up to the T20 World Cup, that is 5 against Australia, 5 against South Africa and 5 against New Zealand. There Shubman Gill could have been tried out if either of the 2 specialist openers, Sanju Samson or Abhishek Sharma, had repeated failures. But then the team has been selected, and it is still okay. A little surprising that Gautam Gambhir's thought, or Gautam Gambhir's preferred choice of Washington Sundar is not there, because that would have then taken care of Gambhir's requirement along with 3 spinners, where like he could have had Washington Sundar and Akshar Patel as spinners. He would have actually dropped then Kuldeep Yadav, but then he is comfortable with that. That's what the past has shown. Then he would have gone with Varun, Washington Sundar and Akshar as 3 spinners. Then he could have also got Arshdeep Singh and Bumrah, and yet he would have got 8 handy batters. But selectors have not given him his preferred choice, that is Washington Sundar. Nitish Kumar Reddy is not there. So it looks that he may have to take that tough call from the beginning to whether to go with Dube or Rinku Singh and dilute his bowling, or he will go for the first time with 4 match-winning bowlers who are not batters, and just 7 batters, out of which 5 are only specialist batters. That we'll find out during the first match in the Asia Cup when it starts. Thank you.